3 days after Admiral Boyd delivered Earth's ultimatum, the Galactic Council voted to accept the new accord. The decision was not unanimous, but with human ships hovering above every Council world, the outcome was never truly in doubt. In a formal ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, representatives from all Council species signed the document. High Counselor Vexnar was notably absent, having resigned his position in disgrace. Commanders Rathol and 3 other Xilarian officers stood trial for the death of Lily Carter. They faced a new court with judges from 7 species, including humans. In the end, they were sentenced to work with children orphaned by Council actions across the galaxy. Justice isn't always about punishment, Diane Carter told the court. Sometimes it's about making sure the same mistakes never happen again. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities to watch as humanity's hidden fleet returned home. The black ships flew in formation over major population centers, no longer needing to hide their existence. Dr. Alan Pierce found himself with a new job, official historian of human-alien relations. President Winters had ordered all classified records open to him. The public deserves to know the truth, she told him. All of it. In his university office, Pierce began sorting through 2 centuries of secret history, the real first contact, the warnings from the founders, the alliance with the Arcturians, the building of the Shadow Fleet. We should have trusted our own people with this knowledge, he murmured as he worked. Meanwhile, Captain Samantha Reeves and the crew of the U.S. Vindicator became reluctant celebrities. Children asked for their autographs. News programs wanted interviews. A young boy approached Reeves in a park. "Were you scared when you faced the Council ships?" he asked. Reeves knelt to his level. "Everyone gets scared sometimes," she said. "But we were ready. We had trained our whole lives for that moment." Across the galaxy, the balance of power shifted. Species previously marginalized by the Council found their voices heard for the first time. Earth shared selected technologies with these new allies, careful not to give too much too quickly. "We don't want to replace the Council as overlords," Admiral Boyd explained to her officers. "We want to build something better." On Novus Terra, humans returned to rebuild their colony. This time, they came with official permission and protection under the new accord. George Carter stood in the spot where his daughter had died. Workers were building a small memorial garden there. "She would have loved this place when it's finished," he said quietly. Earth established a new defensive pact with formerly oppressed species. Together, they created a rapid response force to prevent conflicts like the one that had taken Lily's life. In the Arcturian crystal cities, Elder Kithel met with Admiral Boyd. The ancient being's crystalline form caught the light as they walked together. "You have done what we could not," the Elder said. "Changed the Council from within." "At great cost," Boyd replied. "All change comes at a cost," Kithel said. "The question is whether the price was worth paying." 1 month after the signing of the new accord, a ceremony was held on Earth. A memorial to Lily Carter was unveiled in Geneva, outside the new galactic embassy. It was a simple statue of a small girl holding a flower. Representatives from 50 species attended. Admiral Boyd stood before the crowd to speak. Her uniform was crisp, but her eyes were tired from weeks of negotiation and planning. "For centuries, we hid our strength to maintain peace," she said, looking at the gathered dignitaries. "Now we must use our strength to forge a just one." As she spoke, the U.S. Vindicator and 3 other ships flew overhead in formation. Not as a threat, but as a promise that humanity would remain vigilant. In the crowd, Dr. Pierce thought about the history he was now writing. How one child's death had changed the course of galactic civilization. How humanity had stepped from the shadows into a new role. The age of secrecy was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And somewhere among the stars, the founders watched with approval as their warnings were finally heeded. Black ships appeared above 200 worlds simultaneously. On each Council homeworld, citizens looked up to see human vessels hovering silently in their skies. No warnings, no alarms. The ships simply appeared, bypassing all defense systems. In the Galactic Council chamber, screens showed images from across the galaxy. Every member world reported the same thing. Human warships had arrived without warning. High Counselor Vexnar, rescued from his disabled flagship, stood at the center of the chamber. His skin had turned almost white with fear. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species has this capability." The doors slid open. Admiral Catherine Boyd walked in, flanked by human guards. She wore her full dress uniform with calm authority. "High Counselor," she said with a slight nod, "the Council has made a grave mistake." Vexnar drew himself up. "This invasion violates all Council laws. Your ships will leave Council space immediately or what?" Boyd interrupted. "You've seen what we can do. Your fleet is disabled. Your defense systems are useless. For the first time in your long history, the Council is not in control." The chamber fell silent. Even the most powerful members recognized the truth of her words. Boyd walked to the center platform and activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing a strange crystalline species never seen by most Council members. 2 centuries ago, humanity encountered this species, Boyd explained. They called themselves the Founders. They were fleeing from something. From you. Council members shifted uncomfortably. "The Founders told us about the Council's real purpose," Boyd continued. "How you identify potential rival species and eliminate them before they become threats. How you've done this 1,000 times across 100,000 years." "Lies," Vexnar protested weakly. "The Founders gave us technology and a warning. They showed us records of Council ships causing natural disasters on developing worlds. Species that showed too much potential suddenly facing plagues, asteroid strikes, or civil wars." Boyd's eyes swept the chamber. "They showed us what would happen to Earth if we ever revealed our full potential." On the main screen, images appeared of Earth's first contact with the Arcturians. Not the public version, but the real one. "The Arcturians confirmed everything," Boyd said. "They helped us prepare. For 2 centuries, we presented a face of limited technology while building our real fleet in secret." Elder Cathal stepped forward. "We tried to warn the Council. Humans are different. They value their young above all else." "We would have remained hidden for centuries more," Boyd said. "Content to develop in secret while playing the role you expected. But you killed a child." Images of Lily Carter appeared on all screens. Her smiling face, her small body lying still on alien soil. "One child," Boyd said quietly. "That was your mistake." A junior Council member stood. "What do you want? Why not just destroy us if you have this power?" "Because we're not like you," Boyd replied. "We don't destroy potential rivals. We're here to change the system, not replace it." She activated another display, showing a document titled "The New Accord." "Our terms are simple," Boyd explained. "First, all those responsible for Lily Carter's death will face justice. Second, the Council will reorganize to give equal voice to all member species. Third, no more secret elimination of potential threats." "And if we refuse?" asked Vexnar. "Look outside," Boyd suggested. The chamber's crystal windows showed human ships hanging above the Council capital world. Silent. Waiting. "We won't destroy you," Boyd said. "But we will dismantle the Council and create a new alliance with those who agree to our terms." In the silence that followed, representatives began to whisper among themselves. Many of the newer species looked openly relieved at the human proposal. "You have 1 hour to vote," Boyd said. "Choose carefully. This offer won't be repeated." She turned to leave but stopped at the door. "For centuries, we watched you destroy promising species because you feared competition. That ends today." As Boyd left, the Council began to argue. But in their hearts, most knew there was only one choice they could make. The age of Council dominance was over. The Council attack fleet moved toward Earth with grim purpose. 500 warships from 30 different species formed the largest military force assembled in 50 years. High Counselor Vexnar personally commanded from the flagship. The humans have overplayed their hand, he told his officers. They may have hidden technology, but they cannot stand against our combined might. On Earth, Admiral Boyd watched the approaching fleet on massive screens in the underwater command center. Officers around her worked calmly despite the threat. They've committed their forces exactly as predicted, she said to her staff. Begin Aegis deployment. Across Earth's surface, hidden installations activated. In deserts, mountains, and under oceans, ancient machinery hummed to life. Energy readings spiked all over the planet. In orbit, the first line of Council ships prepared to fire on Earth's conventional defense satellites. Victory seemed certain to them. All ships, fire on my mark, ordered Vexnar. Show these humans the price of defiance. The Council weapons fired as one. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward Earth. For a moment, it seemed the planet was defenseless. Then a shimmering blue field appeared, expanding rapidly to surround the entire planet. The Council weapons struck the field and disappeared, absorbed completely. What is happening? Demanded Vexnar. Report. Unknown energy shield surrounding the planet, replied his science officer. Nothing like this appears in our records of human technology. In the command center, Admiral Boyd allowed herself a small smile. Aegis array is holding at 100%. They can fire everything they have and never scratch us. The shield was just the beginning. From Earth's hidden bases, the second wave of human ships rose to join the battle. Unlike the first wave, these were massive vessels, dwarfing even the Council flagship. Captain Reeves and the U.S. Vindicator arrived from Sealer Prime, taking position at the front of Earth's fleet. All ships, defensive positions only, she ordered. Let them exhaust their weapons against the shield. The Council fleet fired again and again. Nothing penetrated the Aegis shield. After an hour of continuous attack, many Council ships began running low on energy. Impossible, muttered Vexnar. No shield technology can absorb this much firepower. On the Vindicator's bridge, Dr. Pierce watched the battle with fascination. The Aegis technology, it's based on Arcturian principles, isn't it? Captain Reeves nodded. The Arcturians gave us the basic science 2 centuries ago. We've been improving it ever since. In the Council chamber, Diane Carter watched the battle on the main screen. Council members around her sat in stunned silence as their attack failed completely. Your weapons cannot harm Earth, she told them. Your ships cannot match ours. This was never a fight you could win. A junior Council member approached her cautiously. If your technology is so advanced, why hide it all these years? Why pretend to be weaker? To avoid exactly this confrontation, Diane replied. We wanted peaceful relations, but you crossed the line when you killed my daughter. In Earth orbit, Admiral Boyd gave the order to demonstrate humanity's full power. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the Council ships. Target their engines and weapons only, Boyd ordered. Disable, don't destroy. Earth's ships fired. Their weapons cut through Council shields like they weren't there. Within minutes, 300 Council ships hung powerless in space. On the Council flagship, Vexnar watched his mighty fleet become helpless. How can this be? Their technology was nowhere near this level. His science officer looked up from her console with fear in her eyes. They were hiding it. All these years, they were hiding what they could really do. Back on Earth, President Winters addressed her government. Phase 1 is complete. The Council fleet has been neutralized without casualties on either side. And Phase 2? Asked a general. Admiral Boyd is already implementing the reckoning, Winters replied. By tomorrow, human ships will be in orbit around every Council homeworld. In the underwater command center, Boyd sent the order that would change the galaxy forever. All ships, initiate Phase 2 of the Lazarus Protocol. Across the stars, hundreds of human vessels vanished from Earth orbit, heading to deliver humanity's message to the heart of every Council world. The U.S. Vindicator appeared in orbit around the Xilarian homeworld, Sealer Prime. The planet's defense systems did not detect the ship until it was already there. Alarms blared across the Solarian defense grid as more black ships appeared beside the Vindicator. "We are in position, Captain," reported Jack Miller. "Their defense grid is active, but their weapons have not locked onto us." Captain Reeves nodded. "They can't lock what they can't properly see." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target their orbital defense platforms. Disable only. No destruction unless fired upon." "Aye, Captain." On the planet below, panic spread through the Solarian military command. Their sensors showed the human ships, then lost them, then found them again in different positions. "Impossible," muttered the Solarian defense minister. "How did they get past our early warning systems? How are they confusing our sensors?" A communication request flashed on their screens. With reluctance, the defense minister accepted it. Captain Reeves appeared on the main view screen. "This is Captain Samantha Reeves of the U.S. Vindicator. We represent Earth. We demand the immediate surrender of all individuals responsible for the death of Lily Carter on Novus Terra." The defense minister's four eyes blinked in confusion. "This is a military matter beyond a single human child. The Council has already ruled." "The Council's ruling is irrelevant," Reeves interrupted. "You have 1 hour to comply, or we will demonstrate why that is so." The transmission ended. The defense minister immediately contacted the Galactic Council. In Geneva, Ambassador Peter Morgan stood before the United Earth government. Unlike the public diplomatic protests, this meeting was real. Morgan's face was grim. "Our fleet is in position at all major council worlds," he reported. "The Vindicator has delivered our demand to Xalar Prime." President Winters nodded. "And their response?" "As expected. They're stalling while they try to understand how we bypassed their defenses." Winters looked at the assembled government leaders. "Then it's time for the demonstration." Back at Xalar Prime, the hour passed. The Xalarians had moved additional ships into defensive positions around their planet. They believed their superior numbers would overcome whatever advantage had allowed the human ships to appear undetected. "They're powering weapons," Miller reported on the Vindicator's bridge. Captain Reeves nodded. "Begin the demonstration." The black ships moved with impossible speed. Energy beams lanced out, precisely targeting the weapon systems of the Solarian defense platforms. Each shot disabled but did not destroy. On the planet below, the defense minister watched in horror as his orbital defenses went dark one by one. The human ships moved between his fleet vessels like ghosts, untouched by Solarian weapons. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his officers. Their ships were nothing like this 3 months ago. In the council chambers, the main screen showed similar scenes playing out at 7 council worlds simultaneously. Human ships appeared, demanded surrender of those responsible for Lily Carter's death, then systematically disabled defense systems when refused. "These are not the humans we know," whispered a council member. "These are the humans we feared," corrected Elder Kithal. Aboard the U.S. Vindicator, Dr. Pierce studied old records in his temporary quarters. What he found disturbed him deeply. He hurried to the bridge. "Captain," he said as he entered, "I've discovered something in the historical archives. This isn't the first time the Lazarus Protocol has been activated." Reeves turned to him with surprise. "What do you mean?" "There are coded references in our oldest records. The protocol was activated once before, nearly 200 years ago. The records are heavily redacted, but it appears the Council or some member species threatened human children then too." "What happened?" "I don't know," Pierce admitted. "But whatever it was serious enough that the Council agreed to leave Earth alone for decades afterward." On the main screen, a Solarian cruiser fired on the Vindicator. The energy beam passed through empty space as the human ship seemed to shift position instantly. "Their answer is clear," Reeves said. "Signal Admiral Boyd. The Solarians have refused our demands." In the council chamber, High Counselor Vexnar stood defiant despite the reports flooding in from multiple worlds. Enough of this human posturing, he declared. I am ordering our combined fleet to strike directly at Earth. We will end this rebellion now. Elder Kethel and the Arcturian delegation rose to leave the chamber. You have doomed us all, the elder said as they departed. Vexnar ignored the warning and gave the order that would seal the council's fate. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive room with seats for 200 different species. Light from 3 suns streamed through crystal windows. Today, all seats were filled as news of unusual activity in the Sol system spread. High Counselor Vexnar stood at the center platform. His skin was pale blue and his 6-fingered hands moved with nervous energy. Our observers report unusual energy signatures from Earth's oceans, he said, but there is no cause for alarm. Human military technology is primitive. We know the full extent of their fleet. In the back of the chamber, representatives from newer council species exchanged worried glances. The Exilarian delegation looked particularly uncomfortable. Where is the human representative? Asked Kijlara of the Tricilian species. Her feathered crest rose with concern. Ambassador Daniels sent word that he is indisposed. Vexnar replied with a dismissive wave, likely hiding in shame after their colony's illegal actions. The truth was that Savior Daniels, Earth's representative to the Council for 7 years, had vanished from his quarters the night before. His absence was noted, but not yet understood. An aide rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to Vexnar. The High Counselor's skin paled to a lighter shade of blue. This is impossible, he muttered. He looked up at the gathered representatives. We are receiving reports of unidentified ships appearing near 7 council outposts simultaneously. The chamber erupted in confused voices. Security officers rushed to their stations. From the corner of the room, Elder Kithel of the Arcturian delegation rose slowly. The ancient being's crystalline body caught the light as he moved to the speaking platform. The room fell silent. When an Arcturian elder spoke, all listened. We warned you, Kithel said, voice like stones grinding together. 2 centuries ago, we warned the council about the humans. Vexnar turned to the elder with barely disguised impatience. Your species has always had an irrational fondness for primitive races. We told you they were not what they seemed, Kithel continued as if Vexnar hadn't spoken. The sleeping giants of Sol, we called them. Now they awaken. On the main view screen, images appeared from council outposts. Black ships unlike any in Earth's known fleet hung in space above council stations. They made no moves to attack, simply waited. These cannot be human vessels, insisted Vexnar. Their technology is decades behind this capability. The doors to the chamber slid open. A human woman walked in, flanked by guards who seemed unsure whether to stop her. She wore no uniform, just simple civilian clothes. Who are you? Demanded Vexnar. How did you get past security? My name is Diane Carter, she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with intensity. Mother of Lily Carter, the child murdered on Novus Terra. The Exilarian delegation shifted uncomfortably in their seats. You are not the recognized representative of Earth, Vexnar said. Guards, remove her. I am not here as Earth's representative, Diane replied. I am here as a messenger. The ships you see are just the first wave. For 200 years, we hid what we could do. We watched. We learned. We built. The guards hesitated, looking to Vexnar for guidance. This is absurd, the High Counselor sputtered. Earth has 43 warships total, all accounted for and monitored. Diane smiled without humor. Earth has 617 warships that you never knew existed. And that's just the beginning. A new alert sounded. The main screen changed to show a massive Council defense fleet approaching Earth. Ah, said Diane, glancing at the screen. I see you've made your choice. Vexnar drew himself up. The Council will not be threatened. I have ordered our forces to put an end to this human posturing. Elder Kethel shook his crystalline head slowly. You fool, he whispered. You've doomed us all. The screen showed the Council fleet entering Earth's solar system. What happened next caused the entire chamber to fall into shocked silence. The human ships were waiting for them. Captain Samantha Reeves stood on the bridge of the U.S. Vindicator, watching as her crew prepared for departure. The ship hummed with power unlike anything in Earth's public fleet. Black panels absorbed light rather than reflected it. Weapon systems remained hidden beneath smooth hull plates. "Status report," she ordered. "All systems green, Captain," replied her first officer, Jack Miller. "The crew is ready." Most of them never thought they'd see actual combat. Reeves nodded. Like everyone assigned to the Shadow Fleet, they had trained in secret their whole careers, never telling even their families what they really did. Dr. Pierce entered the bridge, escorted by a security officer. He looked around with wide eyes. "This technology, it's at least a century beyond what we publicly admit to having," he said. "Try 3 centuries, Reeves corrected. "Welcome aboard the real face of human space power, Doctor." Admiral Boyd's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Reeves, all ships are reporting ready. You have command of Strike Group Alpha." "Understood, Admiral," Reeves replied. "We launch in 5 minutes." Below the ocean's surface, massive doors opened wider. Water drained from launch bays as the first wave of ships prepared to rise. In a secure briefing room, Dr. Pierce addressed the gathered ship captains through video link. Many joined virtually from bases across the solar system. "What you're about to do has only happened once before in human history," Pierce explained. 200 years ago, when the Arcturians first contacted us, they warned us about the Galactic Council. Pierce showed them ancient images of Earth's first contact with alien life. Not the public version taught in schools, but the real one. "The Council follows a pattern," he continued. "They allow new species to join, but secretly limit their growth. Any species showing too much potential faces accidents and natural disasters until they're no longer a threat." The captains listened silently. Some were too young to have known this truth. "The Arcturians gave us a choice: join the Council and accept their limits, or hide our true potential and build in secret. Our leaders chose the second path." On screen, images showed the construction of the first hidden bases. Earth had publicly joined the Galactic Council 70 years ago, presenting themselves as a young, somewhat primitive species, all while building the Shadow Fleet in secret. "The Lazarus Protocol was created as our insurance policy," Pierce said, "to be activated only if the Council threatened our children. That line has now been crossed." In Earth orbit, Council spy satellites detected unusual energy readings from the oceans. The Council ambassador sent urgent messages back to his superiors, but even he couldn't guess what was coming. The first ships broke the ocean's surface like black sea monsters from old legends. They rose on silent engines, water streaming from their hulls. More ships emerged from hidden bases on Mars, rising from the red dust of Valles Marineris. On Europa, ice cracked as massive hangar doors opened for the first time in decades. Captain Reeves felt the Vindicator rise through the water. Sunlight touched the ship's hull for the first time since its construction. "Set course for the Accelarian homeworld," she ordered. "Stealth systems active." The ship accelerated upward, passing through the atmosphere in seconds. Behind it came dozens more, then hundreds as the full fleet revealed itself. In her ready room, Reeves opened a small display case. Inside was a picture of Lily Carter, the child whose death had awakened the fleet. Someone had placed a copy on every ship. Over the ship's communication system, Reeves addressed her crew. "For 2 centuries, we've maintained peace by preparing for war. Today, we show the galaxy why humanity was never to be trifled with." The fleet assembled in high orbit, ships moving into formation with practiced precision. Then, as one, they vanished from normal space, using drive technology the Council believed impossible for humans to possess. The first strike would come from where the Accelarians least expected it, directly above their homeworld. The message from Novus Terra reached Earth 3 days later. In the Grand Hall of the United Earth Government in Geneva, Leaders sat in stunned silence as they watched the recordings from the colony. President Laura Winters stood at the center of the room, her face a mask of controlled anger. "The Galactic Council has gone too far," she said. "They've killed one of our children." To the council representatives watching from their embassy, Earth's response seemed oddly restrained. President Winters issued only formal diplomatic protests. She demanded an apology and compensation for the colonists. Nothing more. The Exilarian ambassador left the meeting with a sense of relief. His people had expected much worse. But deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, far from the eyes of alien observers, a different meeting was taking place. Admiral Catherine Boyd stood in a control room that officially did not exist. She was a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen more of space than most humans alive. Around her, screens lit up with faces of military commanders joining from secret bases across the solar system. "Protocol Lazarus is now active," she said. "Authorization code, Carter 7 Alpha Omega." The words rippled through the command center. Junior officers exchanged glances. Most had trained their entire careers without ever expecting these words to be spoken. "Awakening sequence initiated," confirmed a technician. "Estimated time to full activation, 6 hours." Boyd nodded. "Send for Dr. Pierce. He needs to be here for this." Dr. Alan Pierce was teaching a class on pre-space war history at Georgetown University when the military car arrived. His students watched with curiosity as he was whisked away without explanation. 4 hours later, Pierce stood beside Admiral Boyd in an elevator descending deep beneath the Mariana Trench. He was a man in his 50s with kind eyes and a professor's disheveled appearance. "I always thought Lazarus was a myth," he said quietly. "A story we told new recruits." Boyd shook her head. "The myth was necessary. The Council has spies everywhere." The elevator stopped, and the doors opened to reveal an enormous underground cavern. Pierce stepped out and gasped. Before him stretched a vast hangar bay. Within it rested ships unlike any in Earth's public fleet. They were black as night, with sleek, predatory lines. No identifying marks. No registration numbers. "My God," Pierce whispered. "How long have these been here?" "The first were built 200 years ago, after our first contact with the Arcturians. They warned us about the Council's true nature." Boyd led him to a viewing platform. Each generation of leaders added to the fleet, kept it updated, kept it hidden. On massive screens around the hangar, similar facilities were awakening on Mars, Europa, and Titan. Hundreds of ships, all advanced beyond what Earth publicly acknowledged possessing. "The Council believes we have 43 warships total," Boyd continued. "In reality, we have 617, and technology they can't imagine." Pierce watched as crew members boarded the vessels. All this time, all these resources, just waiting. "The Lazarus Protocol was clear," Boyd said. "We would only reveal our true strength if the Council crossed the final line." They killed a child, Dr. Pierce, deliberately and without remorse. On the main platform, a woman in a captain's uniform approached. "Admiral," she said with a salute, "this Vindicator is ready for launch." "Thank you, Captain Reeves," Boyd replied. "You understand your mission." Captain Samantha Reeves nodded. Her face was young, but her eyes were old, like all those who served in the Shadow Fleet. "Completely, Admiral. We will make them answer for Lily Carter." Above them, massive doors in the ocean floor began to slide open. Seawater splashed against energy barriers as the first ships rose from their long slumber. In orbit around Earth, Council observation satellites detected unusual energy signatures, but could not penetrate the ocean's depths to see their source. By the time they realized what was happening, the first of Earth's hidden warships were already breaking atmosphere, weapons systems active, heading for Council space. The sleeping giant had awakened. The sky over Novus Terra turned red as the Exilarian ships broke through the atmosphere. The small human colony, home to just over 300 settlers, had no warning. Alarms blared across the settlement as the shadow of alien vessels darkened the morning sun. George Carter looked up from his garden, soil still clinging to his rough hands. Fear gripped his heart as he watched the ships descend. "Lily," he called out. His 7-year-old daughter had been playing near the edge of the colony just minutes ago. Inside their modest home, Diane Carter grabbed the emergency beacon. Her hands shook as she activated it, sending a distress signal toward Earth, 90 light-years away. As a botanist, she had come to Novus Terra to study its unique plant life. Now she wondered if that decision would cost them everything. "This is an unauthorized human settlement," boomed a voice from the lead Silurian ship. "By order of the Galactic Council, you are to evacuate immediately. This planet falls under protected status designation." In the command center of the colony, Governor Eric Nelson tried to establish communication. "This is a peaceful research outpost," he transmitted. "We were unaware of any protected status. We request time to gather our belongings and—" The transmission was cut off as the first energy blast struck the communications tower. The Xelarians had no interest in negotiation. Aboard the lead ship, Commander Zrathal shifted uncomfortably in his command chair. "Counselor, the humans claim they did not know about the designation. Perhaps we should allow them time to—" "Your orders are clear, Commander," said the Council representative, a thin, gray-skinned being named Vekthar. "This is the third human expansion into protected space this cycle. The Council has determined that a show of force is necessary." Zrathal nodded, though doubt clouded his four eyes. "Begin the controlled removal," he ordered his troops. On the ground, chaos erupted as colonists ran for the emergency shelters. Silurian ground forces moved through the settlement with cold efficiency, herding humans toward the central square. Lily Carter was playing with her favorite doll at the edge of the colony when she heard the alarms. Fear froze her small body as she watched strange armored figures moving between the buildings. She clutched her doll tighter and began running toward home. George Carter pushed through the panicked crowd, desperately searching for his daughter. He spotted her small figure running between buildings, her red hair bright against the dusty landscape. "Lily," he shouted again, changing direction. A Xelarian patrol turned at the sound of his voice. They saw the small human child running and raised their weapons, sensors identifying movement but not distinguishing between adult and child targets. "No," George screamed, too far away to reach her. The energy blast hit the ground near Lily. The force threw her small body through the air. She landed without a sound, her doll falling beside her. The patrol moved on, unaware of what they had done. George reached his daughter's body moments later, falling to his knees beside her. His anguished cry echoed across the settlement, cutting through the chaos of the evacuation. In the command center, Governor Nelson received the news with a stricken expression. He turned to his emergency console and activated a secure channel. This was no longer about saving the colony. "Earth High Command, this is Governor Nelson of Novus Terra." He spoke, his voice steady despite the tears on his face. "A human child has been killed by Council forces. 7-year-old Lily Carter. I am invoking Article 7 of the Colonial Charter." He paused, listening to the confirmation on the other end. "Yes," he continued. "Protocol Lazarus is now authorized. They've awoken what should have remained sleeping." In the council ship above, Vekthar received news of the child's death with a dismissive wave. "Regrettable collateral damage," he noted in his report, "but necessary to maintain order." As the Xelarians completed their operation, forcing the colonists onto evacuation ships, they remained unaware of the message that had reached Earth, or of what that message would unleash. The first human ships would arrive at Novus Terra in 3 days. By then, it would be too late for apologies.